another concept called global statement. Here, if you need to modify a global variable from within a function, use a global statement. If we have a line such as global x at the top of the function, it tells a Python in this function x refers to the global variable. So don't create a local variable with the same name. You can see here x is equals to global. So we have here is x is equals to global. Okay, you are assigning some value through global scope. Then you call your spam function. So here you can see global x. That means x is a global variable. Okay, that will be indicated by this global keyword. So global x will indicate what? Okay, if you need to modify a global variable from within a function, use a global statement. Okay, so it tells you that see already x is a variable which has been defined inside the global scope. When I try to modify it in a local scope, but that will be can be done only using this x is equals to global. That means see we are defining it x as a global. So we by using this global statement we understand that it is a global variable. So x is equals to spam. Now we have modified it. And now when I come back to this, so here print text. Now it prints a value of spam. So now the global variable, whatever you have it, that has been modified with the value called spam by using this global statement. In the last examples we have seen, as we know that whatever it is there in the local scope cannot be modified. Once you modify also, when we try to come out of the loop, that everything will be forgotten. But in this case, we are using the global statement. So whatever the modifications you have done for the global variable can even be written and it will be displayed in the global scope. That's what they have explained here. Because X is declared global at the top of the spam. When X is set to spam, this assignment is done to the globally scoped X. No local X variable is created. There are four rules to tell whether the variable is in a local scope or global scope. If a variable is being used in the global scope, then it is always a global variable. If there is a global statement for that variable in a function, it is a global variable. Otherwise, if the variable is used in an assignment statement in the function, it is a local variable. But if the variable is not used in assignment statement, it is a global variable. Okay. So there are like indications for how local and global variable. See, whenever we are declaring a variable outside the function, it is a global scope, it is a global variable. When we declare a variable inside the function, okay, then then we call it as a local variable, and with the assignment we do that it is a local variable. But when the statement, okay, when you write that global statement for that variable inside the function, then we call it as a global variable itself. It is not a local variable. When we use a global statement inside the function, we treat it as a global variable only. Okay. So here you can have an example again. You can see that define spam. Okay, you have a function global x. Now x is a global variable. It's already been taken here in the global scope. It is initialized with the value 42. When I call your spam, so here again you're denoting it as global x. That means it is a global variable. So you perform a spam insertion to x. Okay, then after that you have a define beacon, another function. So x is equals to beacon. So here this is a local scope because you have not mentioned it in a global statement. So now define in ham, some one more function you have is print x. So now it prints a x, print x. So here again you're not initializing with any, or you're not performing any assignment operation to the x. So it treated as x as a global variable itself. Okay, so now here again you print. Okay, now if you try to print here x, it prints what? A spam. Okay, so again if you print x here, so now it even performs the same. Whatever the value stored in a spam, or sorry, x, the value stored is spam, so that will be get displayed. Okay. Okay, so the explanation I've given here in a spam function, x is a global x variable because there are global statement for x. at the beginning of the function. In a beacon, x is a local variable because there is an assignment statement for it in that function. A ham x is a global variable because there is no assignment statement or global statement for it in the function. In a function, a variable will either always be global or always be local. Okay. Note, if we want to modify the value stored in a global variable uh, in a function, we must use a global statement. If we try to use a local variable in the function before we assign a value to it, as in the following program, Python will give you an error. Okay, see, you can observe here x, it has been taken it as a global variable, you initialize with the value global. When you call your spam function print x, it is error because you are trying to access a value, it is the variable which is in a global scope. Okay, so but when you do this x is equals to spam local, so now that time your x will be act as a local variable. Okay, if you want to print it as then you can make this global statement can be used it. Okay, so the same as I told you, whenever this error happens because Python sees and there is an assignment statement for x in a spam function and therefore considers x to be local. But because print x is executed before x is assigned anything, the local variables x does not exist. Python will not fall back to using the global x variable. Okay, thank you everyone.